Troy Stolz has terminal cancer, but he's determined to finish what he started.
You know what? Go to St. George, you can't sit. You have to go to the bistro to sit. Now it's all machine.
Troy used to work for Clubs New South Wales before he blew the whistle on suspected money laundering through poker machines.
I'm running against Chris Minns.
Now he's trying to unseat the New South Wales opposition leader, who holds the seat of Cogra with a wafer-thin majority of only 0.1%.
I thought I was gone. They predicted Christmas and the chemos kicked in, and my last scan was really positive, so I'm winning the battle at the moment.
You seem to have been given another shot at life. Why on earth politics?
Yeah, look, good question. My wife would have rather that I, rode around on the ride-on mower. That probably would have been the smarter thing.
What does Chris Minns' position on poker machine reform tell us about politics and the gambling industry?
I would say go to the extent to say a vote for Chris Minns is a vote for the gambling industry.
On Thursday night, it was crunch time. Troy's chance to confront Chris Minns on poker machines.
Once again, thank you for coming to tonight's Candidates Forum.
The New South Wales Crime Commission says poker machines are a $95 billion black hole where cash from criminal enterprises could be cleaned. That's exactly why Troy blew the whistle 3 years ago. And the Commission's #1 recommendation is to introduce a mandatory cashless gaming system, something Premier Dominic Perrottet has committed to do in 5 years' time. Labor leader Chris Minns has committed to a trial of cashless gambling on 500 out of the state's 90,000 machines.
I felt like I'd lost control of my mind and body. I was doing things, acting in ways that didn't make sense.
Kate Seselja is a mum of 6 from Canberra. Poker machines consumed 12 years of her life.
I hated who I'd become. That shame that I was living with was suffocating.
Do you want to tell me about what happened when you were pregnant with your 6th child?
I had been given a cheque to put in the bank for our business and went to cash it and went to a club. It took me not very long to go through the couple of $1,000s that I had on me.
Like how long?
Like an hour. And then I sat there for about 6 hours trying to figure out how to take my life and not my baby's. Because I thought everyone would be better off without me.
Bree Hughes knew she was addicted to pokies, so voluntarily put herself on self-exclusion programs at Victorian pubs and clubs. But that didn't stop her getting into numerous venues all over Melbourne.
I'm excluded from 170-something venues, so a lot. Enough.
What did you do? What lengths did you go to get money to gamble?
I committed a lot of fraud, participated in a lot of fraud in which to fund the gambling, but I take full responsibility for my actions.
Bree served 10 months in prison, along with 2 years community service.
When was the last time that you gambled?
About 2 months ago was the last time, the very last time.
The industry's done such a good job of making everyone believe that there is nothing wrong with the product, it's the individual that's the problem.
Because we talk about a problem gambler.
Yeah, that's their term. That is an industry term. It is not something that is helpful to a person experiencing extreme gambling harm.
If there's one place that's at the forefront of reform, it's right here in Tasmania. The first state to get a casino back in 1973 is now in the process of introducing some of the biggest changes we've seen on poker machines. From next year, there'll be mandatory cashless cards, daily limits of $100, a monthly limit of $500, and an annual limit of $5,000. And that, for the first time, takes some responsibility away from what they call problem gamblers and puts it at the feet of the industry and government to limit the losses.
I think this is the first time in the history of our state, if not the country, that a state government has brought forward a policy that wasn't directly written by industry and approved by industry.
Meg Webb, the independent member for Nelson in the Tasmanian Upper House, has been campaigning against pokies for years.
This is an industry that is always used to being the boss over state governments and dictating policies and outcomes.
The industry, though, does make the point that there are plenty of people who use poker machines that do it responsibly that don't have a problem. Why penalise them?
So introducing a universal card to use poker machines is absolutely no penalty on recreational users. It's just another way of accessing the machines.
So do you think, on the face of it, the measures in Tasmania would have made any practical difference to the journey that you went on?
100% they would have. 100. How much damage could a person do at being capped at $5,000 a year? $100 a day, you can't do much damage. Don't get me wrong, $5,000 is a lot of money still, but it's nowhere near the tens or thousands, hundreds of thousands that a person can spend.
And so when industry says, look, we need more time to see whether these sorts of things work.
Industry doesn't get to pick. They shouldn't get to pick.
Why?
Because they are for the stakeholders of the company and the people profiting off the misery of the community.
Would that have made any difference for you?
Absolutely. These machines are built to take $10 every press. Every 3 seconds, $10. So that's $6,000 in a half an hour. That's not recreational. That's designed to do maximum harm in a very short amount of time.
At the local church forum, Chris Minns, fighting to become Premier, finds himself in a lonely place on pokies. He's the only one here who doesn't support a move to mandatory cashless gaming cards.
We want to make sure that when we do propose reform, it in fact works.
We don't need any more trials, and I beg Chris Minns to take a bipartisan approach with Dominic Perrottet on this issue, and then I can go home and mow the lawns. Thank you.
We tried to speak with Chris Minns after the forum. He seemed to have an urgent appointment elsewhere.
Chris, what do you say to the people who say you've sold out to the pokies industry? How important is this moment as far as poker machine reform is concerned?
This is once in a lifetime. This is generational.
When you hear a politician today saying we need more evidence,
We need more evidence, wow. How many bodies need to pile up? This is addiction by design.
Powerful story, really powerful. Yeah, I'm speechless. Just to hear those figures is absolutely disgusting, and to think that they need more evidence of that.
I think the reality is we all live in whichever part of Australia we live in. We can see what happens during state and territory elections and what happens if an opposition or a government tries to stand up to the gambling industry. I think the lesson was learned by a Tasmanian opposition a couple of elections ago. They found themselves facing the weight of the clubs and pokies industry. But there is this unusual situation right now in New South Wales, the state with the most pokies. The Premier and the government of the day has made the promise that it's made. The opposition is the one that's sort of a fair way behind in terms of what they're promising. And as all of the advocates for reform say, what is there for Chris Minns and Labor to lose right now?
Yeah.
Why can't they just match what the coalition is promising and neutralise the issue? That's what I think for a lot of people doesn't make sense. I should point out that we've reached out to Chris Minns for further response. Obviously, we would have loved to have put some questions to him about his policy platform in this area. His response is that Labor has announced a comprehensive plan to tackle problem gaming and money laundering. It will be evidence-based. I've seen, and this is his words, I've seen well-intentioned policy reform like the lockout laws and greyhound racing turn into a disaster and make a bad situation worse. A full statement from New South Wales Labor is on our website right now, and of course New South Wales will vote in just a couple of weeks' time.
Yeah, and if you do need help yourself, you can call Lifeline on 131114, as well as the National Gambling Helpline that's available too for help, 1800 858 858.